All right, hello and welcome. A little news snippet, I guess, before we get started. I just saw an article that was discussed. I saw it on Clownfish TV, but basically, apparently, Blizzard has created like remasters of Warcraft 1 and 2, and because of that, they have asked GOG to delist the original versions of Warcraft 1 and 2, which are on the GOG store up until December 13th. I'm gonna post a screenshot of the front page of this IGN article because it gives some pretty crucial information. Basically, that you have until December 13th. That there's also a $2 coupon code that you can use up until then as well. From what I understand, I did a little bit of looking on the GOG site, and these are pretty faithful reproductions of the original, CD boxed versions of Warcraft 1 and 2. Warcraft 1 playing through DOSBox. Warcraft 2 apparently is slightly improved over its original version with like some anti-aliasing, but apparently the gameplay is identical. So, if you're interested in picking up copies of these, old games, and you haven't already, go ahead and take a look there. I'm going to put this at the start of some of my videos until December 13th because, I figure it might help people get these things. And it's worth noting that oftentimes when Blizzard comes up with a remaster or a remake of an older game, they don't stop selling the old versions, or they maybe only stop for a period of time. They do often make it very hard to search for the old versions. I rebought Diablo 2 last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, and I didn't want the remastered version. I wanted the original version, so I had to look around a bit and do some clever searching online to actually get to the original Diablo 2 purchase page, but I did manage to do it. So it may be that you can get Warcraft 1 and 2, the original versions, over on Battle.net after this, but, you never know. So if you happen to use GOG frequently or, occasionally, you can go pick it up. Both of them, they're a little bit cheaper than they are on Battle.net 2, I think, or they're cheaper than the remakes are going to be, at least, or the remasters. So, again, GOG up until December 13th. Make Warcraft live forever is, I think, the coupon code, and you capitalize each word but no spaces. You should see it on the screenshot. Anyway, that is my quick public service announcement for people who love Warcraft, and I did play it. I played Warcraft 2 a decent amount when I was a little kid, so this is something I might actually partake in myself. Anyway, let's get into the actual video. All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Today we've got another Japanese study lessons book discussion. And this book is by P.G. O'Neill. It is called Essential Kanji, and it contains approximately, I'll get the actual exact number. No, it contains exactly 2,000 kanji. 2,000 of them, most common kanji, basically. Just to kind of look at their preface or their explanatory notes. Yeah, these are the 2,000 characters that are most like commonly used in written publications in Japanese, and they consist of the main body of this book in fairly compact, in a fairly compact setup, and they don't follow any like exact ordering. Like they're not going through in like the Joyo kanji ordering or anything like that. They just kind of there's some kind of method to their madness, but I don't quite know exactly what it is because you go 1, 2, 3, and then person, day, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, month. So it's and so you'll often find connections between like kanji and kanji -1 in this book. But what I wanted to really talk about this book for, at least for a few minutes, is the usefulness of this book for the purposes of making or preparing flashcards. Because to contrast it with my my big honkin' NTC dictionary, right? This one is good for looking up kanji, and it has an extensive list of compounds, right? Extensive list of pronunciations, all kinds of stuff like that. This can be a little bit daunting for flashcards because you might end up, making 40 flashcards for a single kanji. Just to give you an example here, we've got just a random kanji that I picked up to, right? Step. This one. And I'm counting 4, 10, 14, 17, 20, 22, 24, 27, 28, 29. For this single kanji, there are like 29 usages of it listed in this dictionary. So this is your this is your exhaustive list. But this guy is kind of helpful because it gives you like 2 really common ones. And so if you're preparing flashcards and you want to just kind of like run through as many kanji as you can, in a limited number of flashcards, right? Like, because you could go through the big dictionary here and get like 40 flashcards per kanji, which would be a little crazy, right? But with this one, for instance, if we just go to a page somewhere near the beginning, you've got maybe 2 or 3 compounds per kanji, which is really good for flashcard production. In addition, they have the on and kun readings, only the most common ones. So again, this NTC book is going to have like every possible reading you can think of, including some that are used in like names and things like that. And those are a little... I'm not going to say they're not useful for flashcards, but they're kind of more at an advanced state. Like, you're going to want to learn a kanji, how it's used in writing, probably before you worry too much about how it's used in names, because there are a lot of funky tricks there as well. And in the end, a lot of people, if they introduce themselves to you and they have a weird reading of kanji in their name, they'll tell you which kanji it is in some way, right? They'll say it's it's the kanji for heaven or whatever like that, but it's pronounced kami or what. That's actually a common one, but like these exist. I've seen and heard them mentioned this way. And so my assumption is that if someone has a really goofy reading of a kanji in their name, they'll let you know. And since it's all verbal, it's easier to do it anyway. Let me step back for a second. The reason that when introducing yourself, you have to say, my name is blah, 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 written as blah, blah, right, is because a lot of kanji have multiple readings, and a lot of kanji have overlapping readings. So there's a reason why if you're in a purely verbal interaction with someone, they'll say, oh, my name is, Makoto, and it's spelled with this kanji. So like that's a thing. It has to be, just by the structure of the language, or at least it has to. It might be that people don't bother to tell you how to write their name whenever they introduce themselves to you, but it can't possibly be that rude to ask, especially as a foreigner. They'll certainly forgive you for that. But like, this book is great because it kind of goes not just in like order of like difficulty, but also there, like I said, there's some kind of method to their madness. And so like, you're going to get a lot of, if you just go through the first 200 or 300 kanji in this book, you're going to get a lot of really useful kanji out of it. They're not like arranged by stroke order, or they're not arranged by reading or anything like that. They're kind of arranged by like a combination of difficulty and usage. So like, you're going to find a few. Like, if I look at the early pages, let's see if I can find a good example of a complicated kanji in the first few. So here's one, right? This one has a lot of strokes. The kanji for to read, right? It has a lot of strokes, and initially you might be like, wow, this is a complicated kanji for number 55, but it's literally about reading, and it gets used all over the place. So you're going to need to know that earlier than you're going to need to know, kanji of lower stroke count, but less frequent use. And so there's a good mix here. You get to, you kind of get into things where like, these are the kanji that you're going to use to talk about the weather or the seasons or what day it is or what year it is or what month it is. Kanji that you're going to use for verbs a lot. And again, every single one of them has a couple of readings, generally the most common readings, and a couple of compounds. And often the compounds are chosen because they also make use of another kanji that comes earlier in the book. And so there's also that. Like if you go into this, there is absolutely no care taken whatsoever to to arrange the many compounds that they have in some kind of order that says that intends you to read this like a book. This is not intended to be read like a book, although you could do it that way. You just end up learning all the really low stroke count kanji early on, and you kind of waste a bunch of time with some really obscure small stroke count kanji. With this one, what you're going to get is you're often going to get compounds for a kanji that build upon earlier kanji that you've already learned. And that's, again, why this is really good for flashcards. Because what you're going to do is you're going to start at 1, which is 1. You're going to make a flashcard. And then you're going to go 2 and 3 and 4. And you're going to put your flashcards for own readings, flashcards for kun readings, flashcards for meanings, flashcards, and then you're going to start to get into compounds. And what's going to happen is that when you do a flashcard for, number 178 is Shin, right? This one right here. And I'm pretty sure that Shinpin, new article, and Shimbun, newspaper, are both using kanji that have come earlier in the book. So, you'll already have kanji for the pin and the bun, usually, most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. So that basically whenever you go further in this book and make more flashcards for the kanji that come next in the series of this book, you'll generally end up with compounds that overlap with earlier compounds that you've already, or earlier kanji that you've already studied. I think that's a really clever way to choose compounds for a study purposes book. This is a great way to get into kanji quickly. And it's not great as a reference because, again, it's not arranged in a particular meaningful way, but it does have an index at the end where you can look up stuff by reading and it'll tell you what number it is. So this is also kind of, it's usable as a dictionary, but only through, reading. There's no way to, there's that, whatchamacallit, the Nelson. Yeah, the Nelson dictionary. The Nelson dictionary is smaller than this, but it's denser. But it also has, an alternative way to look up kanji rather than just simply looking through an index of readings. You can actually do things by stroke count in that one. You can do things by stroke count in this one too. This one has that massive wealth of compounds and stuff. But if you're trying to get through, especially the low level kanji, and make flashcards, you can make flashcards for every kanji and every compound moving forward in this book, and it works pretty well as a study, as a logical course of study. So if you are, kind of, what do you call it, like cheapskating on textbooks, and you don't want to buy too many different, learn these kanji textbooks, you can actually get this and make your own study course out of it, as opposed to getting a first grade kanji study, or a first through third grade kanji study, and a fourth through sixth grade kanji study book, which you might end up spending a lot of time on multiple books, and you might end up getting either too much or too little information about the kanji. This one is really good for flashcards, which I did on my last, I think it was my most recent Japanese study video. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this book for a little bit. I'll put a link in the description so that you can go check it out if you want. It is published by Weatherhill, New York and Tokyo, publishers of fine books on Asia and the Pacific. And I bought it at a Borders, when Borders still existed. But I've definitely made use of this for flashcards in particular. And for you can also kind of do a lightning run with this. And just cover. They have this weird part at the beginning where they talk about cutting corners out of an index card for the purposes of study. You see that? And you can do that, but realistically, what you can do instead is you can just put an index card over over the informational part of each kanji, right? And just say, do I know this? Do I know this? Do I know this? And you might be able to save yourself some flashcard production this way, especially the first, few kanji where it's like the kanji for one. Yeah, it's a single horizontal stroke. Thank you. I don't need to make flashcards for that. But what you can do is you can kind of like get your index card and just kind of go through and say, yes, I know that one. 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 And just kind of review your progress that way. And then, like, look for holes in your progress as well. Because, again, this has got a pretty, like, a weirdly logical sense of ordering to it. And so you'll find it pretty helpful for, like, learning kanji in some kind of logical fashion. So, yeah, that's all I've got for today. Japanese study is kind of a niche thing, but people seem to enjoy it. Definitely good if you like, video games or anime or manga or whatever, because that way you can look at it in the original language and get away from any people that are trying to confuse you with weird translations or weird localizations. So there is value to this, especially if you're into that kind of media. But yeah, this book is great for like flashcard production and flashcard substitution, basically. And I spend a little bit of time going through it every now and again, just because of the surprisingly useful ordering of the kanji that are in there. Anyway, that's all I've got. Have a good day, and I will see you. I think I'll have a video tomorrow. Pretty sure. So, see you next time. Anyway, later.